వచ్చానంలో.
Hello and welcome everyone. Sorry for lag in a bit of couple of minutes. We have some connectivity issue with our panelists. Nonetheless, I'll start off. My name is Bhargava and I'm part of team here at Tirito. I'm going to be moderator for today's webinar. I'm joined here by our speakers, Mr. Durga Prasad, Global Program Head of Tirito International, and Ms. Anya Pham, one of our Tirito's expert tutors. Thank you again so much for joining us today for our webinar on Tirito's newly launched summer camp, A Leap Towards Ivy League Colleges. Right, before getting into specifics, let me offer a quick introduction about the speakers of today's webinar. With that, I would like to start with introducing Mr. Durga Prasad, Global Program Head of Tirito. Durga Prasad, who finished his BTech, BA Triple Math, BA MPhil and MBA, also did his diplomas in child psychology, general medicine, and dietology from US, and also diploma in education management from in the UK. He had worked as a chief education officer at the United Nations organization previously and has a tremendous experience in guiding thousands of students to world-renowned universities, such as Harvard, MIT, and many more Ivy League colleges. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Durga Prasad.
Thank you, Bharat.
Also joining us in the discussion today is our second speaker, Ms. Anya Pham, one of the expert faculty at Tirito. Anya has taught test prep for over 15 years and has been teaching other subjects for almost 20 years, with exclusive focus on developing critical thinking and problem-solving skills among her students. She has worked in multiple education settings with students of all ages and abilities, which have taught her to use a variety of teaching styles to fit students' learning capabilities. While she enjoys teaching all subjects and grades, Anya has a particular passion for critical reading and writing, chemistry, and algebra. Thank you for joining us today, Anya. This webinar today is part of outreach program by Tirito for the students who are looking for a bright future and for parents who dream of giving their kids the best education. Tirito is an edtech platform that is now offering test prep for SATs, ACTs, PSAT, SSAT, APs, and NAPLAN. Also one-on-one tutoring from grades 4 to 12 in subjects math, English, and science. If you have any specific questions as we go through the webinar, please feel free to type them in the Q&A, and we shall try to answer them in the Q&A session in the end as part of the later part of the webinar. Otherwise, we shall definitely write to you to your registered email addressing your queries. We'll now start off with where Mr. Durga Prasad takes us through the uniqueness of the importance of the summer camp. Over to you, Durga Prasad.
Yeah. Bhargav, the PPT, are you sharing?
It's been shared, sir.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, hi everyone. I welcome you all for this webinar. I would like to explain you a few things which are very critical and maybe helpful to all of you. Yeah, like why this summer boot camp is really important. Is it really important or not? This is one point which everyone should understand. Of course, when we talk about this summer boot camp, students generally, when they have holidays, they spend time on different issues more than academics, extracurricular and co-curricular. So first thing is in that direction, it is helpful to every student. And this is the period where they get a lot of time apart from schoolwork, wherein they can work uh, and practice the things that are being taught to them. They can also work on some basics. They can strengthen their what we call it as the concepts of subjects, and they can start preparing before their school start, and this is helpful for them in that way. And this also helps for them to know what all are the things that are required for a student to prepare for test prep courses, then what all are the things that are needed to reach IVs, because most of the students want to join IVs, but they really believe that it's difficult for them to reach those IVs. I have spoken to many students. It's a dream that they want to reach IV, but they believe that it's difficult. But we want to make things simple, and we want to make them understand how easy it is to get into IVs. So this summer boot camp is helpful for the students in that way also. Bhargav, can I go for the next slide? Yeah. Now, when we talk about summer boot camp, what all are the batches that we are conducting? We are conducting 3 different kinds of courses. One for grade 6 and grade 7, where we are teaching SSAT, then PSAT, ISW, and certain basics of SAT ACT in this program. This goes on for 27 hours of live tutoring, interactive tutoring, and students have material to work on with, material in the sense the content. In our portal, content will be available. Student can practice every day certain number of questions and get enough knowledge on what they are being taught, which will be helpful for them for future. And the second type of batch is for grade 8 and grade 9, where again for them it's 27 hours of live tutoring. Here we focus at, and of course, for the 6th and 7th grades, it's middle level we focus. And for 8th and 9th, we focus at higher level of SAT and ISW. And as well, we are training them on basics of PSAT and SAT ACT. Now, when we go to the third kind of batch, it is for grade 10 and grade 11 students. This is purely test prep course for SAT and ACT. It's a 40-hour program for SAT and 46 hours for ACT, because we have science passages to be done. So these are the 3 types of batches that we are running. And in any of the kind of this one, our effort will be to deliver the basics, train the students on understanding the concepts, and give them the application technique. This is very, very important. We are not just relying on problem solving technique, but we are trying to educate students in developing application skill after they are being taught with the concepts. These are very, very helpful. Yeah, next slide. Yeah. Now, there is one important thing that we have included apart from the regular math and English that we do for these courses as per the curriculum. We have also brought in MAT, mental ability, or otherwise mental aptitude testing. So this is trained, this is given to students to train them to develop analytical and logical reasoning skills. Most of the students fail to answer the questions within the given time, or sometimes they may not get ideas on how to answer those questions. So this MAT will give them enough ideas and strengths of answering questions within the stipulated time, given time, and as well analyze most critical questions and answer them. So this is helpful. So this is very much essential for students. So different class students will be taken in a different level. And we also give them speed calculations techniques in this mental ability lectures, so that student can develop these techniques that are required. Yeah, Bhargav, next.
Uh, on this particular slide, I request Anya to also add her inputs with regards to how critical thinking and problem solving skills could also help the students in their test prep.
Yes. So the ability to do mental math very quickly will help students save time. It helps with their pacing on the math section. I focus mostly on recognizing problem types, doing quick mental math, so quick multiplications, or using strategies to solve complex looking problems by breaking them down into simpler components where the math, for the most part, can be done without a calculator, because students can spend a lot of time punching numbers into a calculator, and that can interrupt their pacing. For science, it's also about, learning how to isolate critical information and break components down. So for the mental aptitude, this is really about understanding the question that's being asked, knowing how to identify and isolate the important critical information, and then quickly reason their way to the correct answer. That's basically what all of these tests are evaluating.
Thanks. Thank you, Anya. Moving on over to DP.
Yeah. Dear students and parents, here is very important thing that comes into picture. See, as I mentioned in the beginning, to get into Ivy Leagues, it's very complicated because any top college will never look at only academic profile of a student. Apart from academic profile, they look at so many other things like extracurricular, co-curricular activities, their leadership skills, and how one reacts in a situation when a critical situation a student is facing, how they react to it, their social attitudes, and so many other things that a college prefers to give an admission to a student. So these all things, we call them as profile building activities. These are very, very important. So that's what I was mentioning. Starting early is very, very important. When I talk about starting early, people ask me which age a student should start working with all these things. So generally, we suggest these things to start from grade 6. And that is the reason why our summer boot camp is starting for grade 6 students onwards. So if they start early, they get sufficient time for them to not only prepare for these test prep courses and then also build their activities, like it could be sports, or it could be extracurricular, co-curricular, or it could be some science 3-minute videos, fictitious things, and so many other activities. So now what is important and what to be built, these all ideas and knowledge is very important. In this summer boot camp, we are giving information on these profile building activities also. We are giving 2 lectures of, we are having 2 classes of profile building activities for grade 6 and grade 7, grade 8 and grade 9. Whereas for grade 10 and grade 11, we are conducting 4 such classes to educate the students on how these profile building activities and which activities need to be done, where a student need to focus, how to identify the strength and weakness of a child in any activity, and so on. So next slide. Yeah. This is one important aspect which we are doing for grade 10 and grade 11 students. See, once we train the students for test prep courses, they take the test. We also train them on a guide and train them on building their profile and all. And afterwards comes the college admission process. So how an essay is to be written, or how a student can be described to a college, which all colleges are suitable for them, and what else they need to do to get into these colleges. Should they apply for only one college or more than one college? And all these things come under college admission process. On all these things, we are giving guidance to students, and as well helping them in getting this admission process done. We have a separate team working on it. We have one separate unit for this, wherein there are about 60 plus counselors working, and they'll be working on with the individual student, whether it is profile building activities or college admission process. I think this is the greatest help a student can get and also work on with. Yeah, Bharat. Yeah, this is very, very critical decision that Purito has taken. Yeah, it is actually the thought process of our CEO, Mr. Udayanandan Reddy, which has come into picture, and this 2-teacher module has been brought into picture. See, there are 2 things that we should talk about. One is teacher, a main teacher, an experienced teacher teaching students. And they'll be using all their expertise. They'll be guiding students, giving them the concepts, making them understand, and problem solving techniques they'll be giving, and all these things they'll be doing. Now, when it comes to preparation by the student, a student may need a lot of additional support, like they may need to have some additional content. There is some already content given. They'll be trying to work on with that. They'll be having doubts while solving them. Those doubts need to be clarified immediately. If those doubts are not clarified, then student may not be able to go to the next concept comfortably. Therefore, clarify that doubt is very, very important, and at the earliest. So not only this, like there could be a student is working, let's say we have given some 30 questions in one of the daily practice sheet, and that student is really working more and needs more questions, more typical questions or variety of questions. These second teachers who are not as experienced as the main teacher, but still are good at subject and can work on at any level of problem solving or subjects, they'll be coming to help these students at different stages in the way they want. They'll also be sitting in the class of the students where a teacher is teaching, senior teacher is teaching. Apart from regular class hours, they are available for these kids during their working hours also. We call it as a 24/7 support system. So these second teachers will be helping these students and as well counseling the students. When they are preparing, performing, they'll get some questions. They are psychologically sometimes need some support or guidance. In all these things, the second teacher will be supporting students. This is the most beautiful and very, very critical system that Purito has brought in to support the students. Yeah, but next slide. Yeah, this importance of starting early, this I already mentioned, but before I go for this, I would like to uh, bring to the notice of all students and parents that the teachers for these who are picked with a lot of care. They are first given a written test. First is experience, then comes written test. Every teacher takes one written test at Turito. After written test, they'll be giving a demo, and after demo, there'll be uh, a small test on mental ability and English, and afterwards there'll be subject expert discussion, and then after all this process is over, a teacher is faculty or educator is taken on board at Turito. Now, with this expertise, we are trying to help the students in building up their concepts, then techniques of applying the learned concepts to a situation, and then make them attempt or practice the questions and attempt the test and be successful. Now, when these processes are taking place, as I already mentioned, a college will never see only the academic expertise. So they also see other things like social behavior, their extracurricular, co-curricular activities, their participation in a group, sports participation. Like there are few universities who prefer to give admissions based on certain sports. Like there is one university which gives Pennsylvania or UPenn gives priority to students who are basketballers. Like that, there are certain things which a student need to develop apart from regular academic test preps. Not only these like APs and so many things like that. So to do all these things comfortably without hurrying themselves and without entering a student, without taking a student into trouble or confusing student, we ask students to start early so that they can do all step by step in an order and ensuring that they'll be successful in every step they take. So therefore, starting early is very, very important. So when I say this, many parents ask me which grade is correct time. As I already mentioned, we prefer students to start in grade 6, if not at least grade 8 or 9. As early, it's that better. This is what we suggest every student. So we prefer you to start at the earliest. Yeah, Bar. Yeah. Now, this is another question which most of the parents ask, like, what is the right time or which is the right class for students to take SAT ACT? We prefer 9th grade or 10th grade students to take SAT ACT. A student of grade 9 also can comfortably do this SAT ACT syllabus, and they'll be comfortably scoring good scores. So we prefer a student to take in grade 9 or grade 10, and then use grade 10 or 11 for APs and other honors and all, building up other profiles. So we prefer students to take like grade 9. And of course, this exam is conducted 7 times a year. A student can take the exam as per their comfort and build up their scores. A student can write multiple times. It's not that a student need to take only once. A student can take multiple times and improve their score. This is what is very, very important point which every parent should note. And once a SAT score is scored or ACT score, it is valid for 5 years. So that score can be used for 5 years. So that's why even if some students take this test in grade 7, they can use it for their admission process for next coming 5 years, like that. Yeah, yeah. This is another important question which most of the students ask: is SAT better or ACT better? See, no college gives any preference either for SAT or for ACT. Therefore, as college does not prefer, it becomes purely the choice of students to pick whether they take SAT or ACT. Now, when it comes to picking on their own, I always suggest students to take SAT than ACT, because whether it is the amount of syllabus you take or science passages you take, it's little critical when, I mean, in ACT when compared to SAT. So when somebody asks my opinion, though both have equal importance in any college testing system, I prefer SAT to be taken for two reasons. One is the comparative simpleness in the testing pattern, and also it is used in many of the other countries other than US alone, whereas ACT is generally meant for American colleges itself. So therefore, if someone asks me which one is best, though there is no preference by any college, I prefer SAT. So a choice is students. It doesn't matter whether it is SAT or ACT, but SAT, as I said, for two reasons, that is better. Yeah, Bharat, next. Yeah, I think Anya will take this.
Okay. So the importance of English and prep courses, both tests, the SAT and the ACT, are very text-based. Even with the science section on the ACT, there's a lot of reading. So a lot of the testing is simply reading comprehension. Also for the AP exams as well. I teach a lot of correlation between reading comprehension and the essay portion. How reading passages are structured. I teach the students to incorporate that into their essay as well. Because college curriculum involves a lot of reading, it's extremely important that students' reading comprehension skills are very, very strong, because the level of text that they're going to see in college is much, much higher than what they've been used to seeing in high school. So there's a heavy focus on being able to distinguish the main idea, also make inferences, draw conclusions, a lot of the finer critical reading skills that are a bit less direct than what they're used to doing in high school, where they just read the text and summarize what they've read. Especially at the more competitive colleges, the standards are going to be much, much higher. So we do a lot of work on text structure, on critical reading, on comprehension, really understanding the passages and being able to articulate the ideas that are expressed. There's also a component where the students need to start to develop and express their own ideas. So this is where we start to lay a lot of that groundwork, where they're going to need to not just summarize the material that they're reading, but they're going to have to be able to develop ideas about them and express them clearly and thoughtfully and completely.
Yeah, I think next slide. Yeah, Anya, would you like to take this?
Okay. So the importance of applying to the more competitive colleges obviously has to do with the quality of the education that students will be able to receive at those colleges. Obviously, name recognition is important to a lot of employers, especially at the top level. The top level fields and competitive companies that pay high salaries. They'll be able to provide more opportunities to the students. So this might be things like work study experience or internships or research opportunities, study abroad opportunities. They'll have more exposure to faculty who have a lot of experience. These are, there are many, many professors at Harvard who are known in the public sphere because they publish books or do frequent interviews. More resources on campus. So labs, equipment, support systems, extracurricular activities, clubs, that, you know, those sorts of activities. And a lot of schools will offer job fairs and job, you know, placement, but the more competitive schools will have access to the more competitive employers, because a lot of their alumni will come back and be involved in, you know, recruiting new students and giving guidance. So it's really, there are a lot of advantages to attending and graduating from a more competitive college, especially an Ivy League college, not just for the name recognition, but so that students are given a more in-depth and critical education so that they're able to perform higher level work.
Great. Yeah. Thanks, Anya, for explaining it in detail.
Yeah, Bhargav, I think we can go to the next.
Yeah. So thank you, guys. Thanks, Mr. Durga Prasad, and thanks, Sanya. I will now quickly look at the questions. We have a few questions coming up from the participants. We'll try to answer those. One question is from Mr. Viresh, asking which course is best for 8th grade student.
Yeah, I think I'll be taking this question. It is from Mr. Viresh, if I'm right. Yeah, Mr. Viresh, like it all depends on whether child has taken some coaching for any of the prep courses or not is very, very important. So if the child has not taken, then it's better she prepares for, I mean, the child prepares for PSAT first, because the child is in grade 8. So I prefer the child to take first for PSAT or otherwise SAT, whatever is suitable for the child and their prospective thoughts, and then go for SAT in the next level. First level, I prefer them to go for PSAT and then for SAT or ACT in grade 9 or grade 10. But at the same time, I suggest student to get strengthened with all the basics of school courses so that they'll be helpful for their AP's preparation.
Okay. So there's one more question, which is where they're asking what's the uniqueness of summer camps offered by Tirito vis-a-vis the other summer camps?
Pardon, Bhargav, can you repeat? I could not.
Yes. So the uniqueness of summer camp offered by Tirito versus the summer camps offered by other platforms or competitors.
Yeah, it's a really good question somebody has asked, because this is going to bring a lot of difference or a lot of advantage for students who are taking coaching with Tirito. First and foremost thing is Tirito is a platform. A platform where there are a lot of facilities and it's teacher quality. As I already mentioned in my discussion, we have 2 teacher module. One, the senior most who will be taking classes, and the second, a support faculty where 24/7 support system is available for the students. And I'll tell you, this support system is extended to that micro level that a student, even if they send a WhatsApp message, we are clarifying the doubts of the student, which no institute does. The next thing is, like, this platform has a lot of features. Like we have content which has daily practice papers, then classwork, then work at leisure questions. Then whenever they, take a test on the platform, analysis, like the answer is right or wrong. If it is right or wrong, what it is, they'll get a solution. Means a student gets to know the solution immediately. Then analysis of like how much time they have taken to solve it, and what percentage of questions a student has answered, pie diagrams, histograms, everything, all kinds of analysis are given to the student immediately so that they understand where they stand and what else they need to do to improve further. Now, we are not just looking at the subject of English and math, we are also trying to develop certain skills and attitudes in the child. That is the reason why we have introduced math, mental ability testing, which no other institute does. And we are also guiding students on why a profile building is very much essential for a student to go to Ivy, and how it helps them, and what are the methods and what all are the things that they need to work on to get into those top institutes. So it is more oriented towards taking a child from where they are today to Ivy League. This is the main thought process of this program or this institute. So this, and we always have parent-teacher interaction. There is a separate team working on talking to the parents, trying to understand the comfortness of the child, and based on that, try to support the child in every mean, and so on. So these are all advantages of being with Turito.
Right. Moving on to the next question.
Yep.
What should a kid take who will be in the sophomore next year? I think the question is more to what course should the kid be enrolled to if he's going to be enrolled in say 10th grade or sophomore next year.
Yeah, I think it should be SAT, ACT directly, because child is already in grade 10. It will be a 4-month course. A student need to be involved for 4 months. And whenever they take a test, they can have a revision course, a small brief revision course, which Turito always supports. I think it's good to go for SAT ACT.
There's one more question. Hi, can you please tell me what high school classes would be the best to take? And also what Ivy League colleges like to see from a student?
Yeah, high school means it depends on the class exactly they are in. If they are in 8th grade or 9th grade or 10th grade, I think this we have just discussed before. But once again, I repeat, if the child is in 8th grade, then we prefer them to take PSAT or SAT. And if they are in 9th or 10th, it's better they directly go to SAT ACT. Then get some time for themselves to build up their profile, and as well prepare for APs and make themselves eligible for Ivy Leagues. So as I said, like most of the people believe that to get into Ivy League, getting a good score in SAT or ACT will be sufficient. It's never like that. I'll tell you one simple example. I think this should give enough idea for parents. There was a student by name Lahari with us. This child got only 1480 in SAT. Whereas other child by name Rajiv, he got 1550. So this child who got 1480 got into MIT, whereas the other child who got 1550 could not get into MIT. The reason is this child has a lot of extracurricular, co-curriculars. She had some certificate from mock UNO. She has a lot of done a lot of social activities. She has a lot of extracurricular, co-curriculars. She is an author for certain books. Like that, this girl has her own profile, because of which she is given a seat in MIT. So Ivy Leagues will never look at just academic profile. Academic profile is one part. Apart from that, they look at extracurricular, co-curricular, social activities, sports, and so many other things. So it's a complex thing to understand. So that is the reason why we have arranged sessions for these also in our training process. Yeah, Bhargav, next, can we go for the next?
Could I
Yes.
add just a couple of things to that?
Sure.
For high school classes, for the actual curriculum, it really depends on the student's academic strengths. So most colleges prefer to see that students are taking high-level classes, even if they would rather see a high B in a very advanced class than straight A's in very easy classes. So I would encourage students to take the honors, the advanced, the AP classes, the IB classes if they have them at their school. Strong math skills, extracurricular programs, any academic, if your school has independent study, any extracurricular, advanced academic programs, those will all look good on a college application. So even though they would prefer to see maybe B's in higher level classes, it's still really, really important for the Ivies that the students are at the very top of their class. So they do need to keep their GPA up. So I would not suggest that they take classes that they're really going to struggle in if it's going to bring their GPA down. So if that, adds any good information to that question.
Yes. Moving on to the next question here. So do you guys have any tips on answering college application questions? Is the question from one of the participants?
Yeah, I think for this, we need to take one-on-one case, study the case, and then guide them. So it's it's important for us to understand individual student and then based on that guide a child.
Okay, maybe can you elaborate a little bit on the counseling sessions which are being part of the course, where the student would be provided with information on college application process and profile building activities?
Yeah, we are bringing expert counselors who knows on complete process of what all profiles that a college will look at, and based on that guide the students and as well help the students in building those profile activities. And not only this, like to apply to a college, like one need to know what all are the strengths that one should project and explain student so that the admission authorities understand exactly what the student is and what he or she is looking for, and apply accordingly. So the points, like we need to project the strength of a child to the college administrator so that they understand what all are the strengths that the child has and what all are the strengths that are required for a student to get a seat in one particular course. And based on that, they'll be allotting the seats. So all these things are being done at our counseling sessions. And as well, they'll be guided, not only guided, but also helped to fill the application forms and as well build the profiles. These are all activities. Every end-to-end activity is done by us during the counseling session.
Right. Moving on to another question, which is from Satyanarayanan, who's asking, how do you guys help improve individuals' profile?
Yeah, this is again, it's almost same question, Bhargav. Like first we'll go for individual case study. Then we'll try to understand what all are the strengths and weaknesses of a child, which area their strengths are there based on that, and which strengths which a college will look at. based on the things. If there is any deficit in any strength, if it can be built, we'll guide them on that. Otherwise, we'll try to strengthen the existing strengths or create new strengths if needed or possible, wherever possible. So for this, again, we need to go for an individual study of the child and then work on with the activities.
Okay, so a slight extension to the same question, which is, does the team suggest any extracurricular the student should opt?
Yeah, I'll tell taking some examples, one or two examples. Like one student who was there with us, that student wanted to get into MIT. But that student's highest score in SAT was only 1390, though he has taken that, SAT exam twice. His score was only 1390. So now we were thinking what activity could take him to MIT. So what we did is we made a 3-minute video and we circulated it in Young Chasers, and that went through 8 rounds, and that boy got a seat in MIT with that. It was done on laser cooling and as well scholarship of 2.5 lakh US dollars. So that is one extreme example I've taken. And there are, few cases where we have built up their sports profile, which they already had. We made them to participate in national, international level. We built their profile. We took them to a top university like that. There are different activities. It depends on students' strengths and weaknesses. Based on that, we try to understand where the student want to be, what is their future ambition. Based on that, which all activities will help student to reach those colleges. Based on that, we'll try to guide and build those profiles.
Yeah, okay. Another question asking clarity on whether the counseling are the counseling sessions part of summer camp, or are they going to be separate?
Yeah, in summer camps, they'll be given idea on what kind of profiles they need to do and what all are the things that are needed for applying for a college, all these additional information and technical knowledge and all. If they want us to work on with them directly, then it should be separate session, because 2 or 4 sessions will not be sufficient for us to work in depth. So therefore, these are informative and guidance kind of things. And if we have to develop those things, then we need to have additional sessions.
Okay. There's one more parent who has gone through our website and wanted us to elaborate more on the parent app.
Yeah. I think Bhargav, yeah, this is very, very important app which Turito is providing, which I think no other platform or institute is providing this. Like every parent would like to understand what their child is doing when a student is enrolled and he or she is working with us. So this parent app gives every end-to-end information of the child, like what a child is doing, what is their progress rate, what are their performances, and like how the child is growing, which helps a parent to plan things for their child and help the child wherever needed, and even contact or interact with us in understanding student more better and give necessary support and all. I think even you can elaborate a little more on this, Bharat.
Yes. So maybe we'll reach out to a particular parent and give a separate demo on the parent app. I think that would be more helpful. But otherwise, I think parent app is something which we have come up with to make parent as part of the learning journey of the student, as the complete tracking of the student's progress of the course which he or she has enrolled to, complete transparency and visibility of number of tests the student has taken, and where does he stand in terms of the performance metrics and all, what are his strengths and what are his weakness. I'll keep you informed about the complete learning journey of the student. This is going to be a critical part of our promise to the parents in ensuring that the student's progress is being tracked properly.
Yeah, I think there is one more question which one of the parent has asked. College prep one-on-one guidance, is that something Turito has expertise? Yes, it has huge expertise. Turito has huge expertise with it. The teaching community, the platform, the system, everything is an expert guidance in itself for the students, and it has a lot of expertise within itself. So parent can be comfortable, and without second thought, one can take a step in joining the Turito.
Yes. We have few more questions coming in, but I guess since we are run out of time, probably we'll reach out to you guys separately over email and write to you explaining in detail what's is that we are offering, and or maybe we'll reach out to you or call separately. Thank you so much for joining in today. Thank you, Mr. Durga Prasad and Anya again.
Thanks, Bhargav. Thank you, parents and everyone.
Thank you.